and 7 points. The Latrobe Valley was hit hard last year with the decision to close a brown coal energy bricks power station, costing the area 60 jobs. But one company is hoping to bring economic growth back to the region using the waste product from brown coal power generation. Latrobe Magnesium is working to develop a magnesium production plant and hopes to become Australia's only magnesium producer by 2016. Joining me to discuss the company's plans is Executive Chairman David Paterson. David, thank you for joining me. First of all, I didn't expect that Australia didn't have a magnesium producer. Why do we not have one at this point, and why do you think you'll be able to do it?
The Australian companies have tried in the past. Back in the 90s and 2000, there were 6 hopefuls that tried, but they were mainly using other forms of feedstock, and they're also using electrolysis processes, which has always been proven to be a problem in the magnesium industry. So what we're doing is we're first off looking at brown coal fly ash, which is completely new as a feedstock for a magnesium plant. We have our own technology that looks at processing that into what is a suitable feedstock for what they call the thermal process, which has been around since 1941. So it's a proven process. It's used to produce 85% of the world's production today. So we're very comfortable that what we've put together with some new technology, together with existing technology, will do the job.
So you're using this waste product from brown coal power generation. Does this mean that your input cost is almost zero?
Well, the input costs are zero because what we're looking to do is clean up the valley, so we're looking at being environmentally friendly, so we use about 90% of that waste. We make 2 products. We make magnesium and we make a supplementary cement material, so we're using 90% of that waste, which would otherwise go into ash dams and basically sit there and become a problem and have to be rehabilitated in the future. So they see us as somebody that basically eliminates a lot of their operating costs and some capital costs. So it's a soft cost.
Now, you've mentioned that you're using some technology that's been around since the 1940s, but obviously you have your own patented new technology. How sure are you that it's actually going to work in the way that you expect it to? How tested has it been?
Well, we've been testing it now for 3 to 4 years. We've upscaled 3 or 4 times. We're using people like CSIRO, Bureau Veritas, some of the best labs in Australia, and recently we've just put it through basically made a large sample which we sent to China and processed through a normal commercial retort and got very good recoveries. So we're very comfortable that what we're doing has now been tested many times over.
And what's been the response from, I guess, what will be your partners, the people who own the brown coal power stations? Are they positive about this, to bring in economic activity around, I guess, the valley as well?
Yeah, we look to employ probably up to 150 people in the valley, so a big support from the Victorian government to date, and also the partners from looking from a point of view of bringing forward that use of the fly ash.
Now, let's give us an idea of how big the market is for magnesium. Obviously, it's used in things like cars, building car parts, etc., electronics, I assume. How big is the market, and how good could the return potentially be for you?
Okay, so the market at the moment is only small. It grows about 7% per annum, and it really grows along with the aluminium market. 800,000 tonnes is all that it's made at the moment. It sells for 3,000 to 4,000 tonnes US a tonne, and there's possibilities for that to grow probably 10 times if certain things happen in the motor vehicle industry. The motor vehicle industry is all about lighter, stronger cars. That's why they call magnesium the green metal. Lighter, stronger goes for less CO2 emissions. And of course, you've got the big CO2 emissions coming in the EU and also in the USA. So if we can, in the mag business, make sheet metal, which is starting to happen now in Korea, and bring that into the car industry, then you'll save 15% of the average weight of a car, and therefore 15% less emissions, and therefore achieve some of those targets which otherwise are finding it difficult to achieve.
So moves to carbon pricing actually work in your favour? The higher the carbon price, the better for the magnesium industry?
Well, there's two things that work for us. One is because we're using fly ash and they contain oxides and not carbonates. Most magnesium is made out of mag carbonates. So when they make magnesium, they have to actually expel some CO2. So smelters are traditionally the second worst CO2 emitter. But when we're using oxides, we're a very low emitter. and therefore we're making, out of the mag oxides we make magnesium, out of the calcium oxides we make cement materials. So cement is usually the third biggest emitter in the chain, behind the power stations being number one. So we're actually saving, big savings in CO2. We've saved probably about 23 tonnes of CO2 per tonne of mag made. So it's a big credit for us with this project.
Now, you've mentioned that the CSIRO is at least involved in the testing of the technology. Tell us about the company. Who's behind it currently? Who's backing you at the moment? Is there any sort of partnership in the works?
We have a number of people that we're talking about, and they're all big overseas companies, which we can't talk about at the moment because of the confidentiality agreements.
It's just you and me.
But all those companies are very interested on finding out the results of, one, the China sample, and the second part of that China sample is what we're doing now over the next 2 months, which is the cement test work around that bulk sample that's come back. So if that replicates what we've done in the past, in all the lab works, we're expecting to have some very big name companies, international companies that we're involved with, have been for 3 years, and the Japanese have also expressed an interest in talking about offtake agreements and investing.
This technology, I assume, is a big part of the value of the company. Is it specifically needs to be used in Latrobe Valley, or would you be looking at licensing the technology for use around the world further down the track?
Licensing or joint venture.
Okay.
We've looked in Germany, where there's big brown coal deposits in Germany, specifically the Ruhr. So we've been dealing with RWE Power, who's number 15 on the DAX, I think, when I last looked, and we've looked at one mine there. One mine there manufactures 100 million tonnes of wet brown coal. The whole of the valley manufactures 80. So okay. You can see the size differentials, right. The capacity then to produce mag in Europe. There is no magnesium producer in Europe, even though they now consume about 160,000 tonnes of magnesium. So
do you see the Latrobe Valley as kind of your testing ground for this technology before you take it elsewhere, or is
Correct.
it... Okay.
Correct. There's lignite deposits, brown coal lignite deposits in the USA, China, Indonesia, India, and of course Europe, mainly Germany.
Investors watching this, whenever we talk about commodities, especially with the recent volatility, would worry about flooding the market with too much and therefore pushing that price down. Is that a concern? At full capacity, how much magnesium could you be actually producing?
We're talking 40,000 tonnes.
Okay, out of 800,000.
Out of 800,000 tonnes, so it's not a large amount. And of course, most Western producers, because there's only one producer in the US, there's no producers now in Canada, there's none in the US, in Europe. So there you've got two major consumers consuming Chinese and relying on Chinese magnesium and Japan. So you've got 360,000 tonnes being bought directly from China in what people have classified as a critical raw material.
And how have you found the government support at this point? You mentioned the fact that they want to focus in, obviously, in the Latrobe Valley for those jobs.
Yes.
Are federal government and state government working kind of hand in hand on this, or...?
We haven't really gone back to the federal government at this point in time. Previously, when the Labor government was in, they were supporting the Victorian government as well, and the previous government in Victoria supported the project. So we're very confident that they will still support it. We've really waited until the emission reduction fund has been come to pass, which was only done in November of last year, and because we think those credits we were talking about earlier will fit into that program. So we see that there could be some significant funding coming from the federal government. In the past, they have given us funding.
Yeah.
We haven't used it because we had technology issues in the past.
And so where's the company at this point? Are you looking for a further injection of cash? What are you needing to do right now to take it to the next level?
We need to complete our bankable study, which we'll do over the next 6 months, which we've started, and then we'll look to construct a plant. That only takes a year, so we should be in production next year. So at the end of the last 6 months of this year, we should be starting construction and then be in production following that. So yes, we'll be looking to raise dollars, not a significant amount, because we think we'll bring in some of those bigger partners that we have from overseas that have expressed an interest, and look also to the government to give some funding to move the whole project forward in the initial phase.
And is there any downside risk? Is there any event that you see that could somehow derail this? Either a moving government policy or a change in the technology, or a risk with the technology that you can see that could skew your plan slightly?
I think because of what we've done over the years in the technology, I doubt very much if there's a technology risk. We've already done pre-feasibility studies, detailed engineering studies. We are actually dealing with some Chinese engineers on that as well, who have built many plants. They don't see any risks from that area. It really comes down, I think, to getting that funding in place, which we believe is achievable over the next 6 months.
Well, good luck with it, and hopefully we can get an update. David Paterson, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.